Who is hurting today? So I'm seeing no pain in your eyes. That's wonderful news. Good morning and welcome back for day 2 of the Blue Future Conference 2024. Please eat until your heart is content. The buffet is still ongoing. There's plenty of coffee also. That'll help you as much as it helped me. Then I think you're going to be pretty well positioned for the rest of the day. We have a full agenda today. We'll be done by about 1:30. But before we get into today's agenda, let me recap a little bit about what happened yesterday. We learned from Town Manager Derek Brindisi that the town has joined the Green Communities Program, completed the Municipal Vulnerability Plan, and has raced past many towns in the Commonwealth by creating its own climate action plan. We learned yesterday from Undersecretary Ashley Stolba and from our Public Policy Panel Roundtable that nearly $1 billion is poised to be infused into the Mass economy to support several industries that comprise blue economy sectors, including robotics, AI, and tourism. We also learned that Plymouth is uniquely situated at the crossroads of 3 coastal zones, and with the right planning, policies, and infrastructure, that might even matter. We learned from the student session yesterday that high school students are eager and asking for internships. We also learned that the Plymouth downtown, by this time next year, is likely going to have an operating co-working space. Tepid applause. It's in the notes. That's great, guys. Last night, we learned that at our networking event that Keith Ellenbogen is basically Carl Sagan. And we learned that you should take sea serpents more seriously than Thoreau did. I personally learned that 4 glasses of wine equals 1 full bottle. And that is dangerously close to becoming 1 Amy Winehouse. I want to thank you all for your positive feedback, and I want to encourage your constructive criticism. Please help us with our mission to continuously improve the conference. It's the reason we have taken strides toward introducing sustainability measures, such as eliminating plastics and sourcing recyclable materials and recycling wastes. Please do give us your feedback. This conference, if you think it's been fun so far, if you think it's been entertaining, it's largely because of your feedback, and we really want to democratize this. So please pull me, Michelle, or Mike Cahill aside. Definitely if you have negative comments, pull Mike aside. Before I get too deep in today's agenda, I want to make sure that we thank our host, Hotel 1620. Every year, Tony and Frankie, yes, let's hear. They help us put on this event for you, and I can't thank them enough for their professionalism and their help. We also have to thank our AV techs, East-West, without whom you would neither see nor hear each other. And we want to thank our friends and colleagues with the Town of Plymouth, especially Town Manager's Office, the Office of Planning and Community Development. I see some colleagues over there. And of course, the Department of Energy and Environment. Their dedication of staff resources made this conference possible. An unsung hero is Mary Waldron. Is she here yet? It doesn't matter. I shouldn't call someone out when they're not here, right? Mary Waldron and her team at OCPC, Old Colony Planning, they are the impetus for this entire 3-year exercise. It was largely because of a program that we put together with them for US EDA funding 3 years ago. The whole point of that study was to study entrepreneurship in Plymouth. Who do we have? What are they working on? What resources are they using? And what resources do they need? Out of that study, with OCPC support, we were able to essentially create this strategy for rebranding Plymouth as a way that's essentially modern, right? Not going to pick on the Pilgrims, but you know what doesn't sell anymore, folks? Colonialism and religious separatism. So we had to come up with a new story about the Pilgrims that made them modern and relevant to today. And their bold, intrepid entrepreneurship is essentially what we celebrate. It's innate in all of us. It's been here for 400 years. The only reason they were successful, though, is because they were greeted by 10,000 years of innovation. And that's the significant contribution that the Wampanoags have to the story, too. So Plymouth is innately entrepreneurial. Apparently, we've also always had a sea serpent, but we forgot to talk about ourselves in those ways. And we forgot about our classics, like a cryptid. What tourism town doesn't have a cryptid? We only discovered our cryptid 3 years ago, again, because of our poet laureates. So the arts is an instrumental part of the blue economy, too, and I can't thank you enough at the folks at the Terrace for hosting us last night. I mentioned yesterday that for as long as I've been a working professional in the Democratic People's Commonwealth, we've had 5 crises. One of the most alarming to me has always been the food crisis. Massachusetts was cut off from the rest of the world tomorrow. We have less than a full days of calories to support all of us. So we have to do more to support food science and food manufacturing inside the Commonwealth. I also said yesterday that entrepreneurs solve problems. Tim O'Neill is working on solving one of the most pressing problems and devastating problems that we face. It's food security. His plans and strategy also helps solve wage problems. He's going to tell you a little bit more about that. But first, I'm pleased to welcome to the stage our sponsor for this event, Bill Mitchell from Massasoit Community College. I want to thank Massasoit for your support and sponsorship this morning. Bill Mitchell, yes. Bill Mitchell was appointed interim president after the passing of Ray DePasquale, Massasoit's 7th president. Bill has more than 35 years of experience in higher education and demonstrable record for being an innovator and leader in workforce development. From 1985 to 1994, back when Hulk Hogan was a good guy, Bill held a number of roles across Massasoit, including in finance, student activities, and as adjunct faculty. He served as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Financial Services at UMass Dartmouth from '94 to 2012. And in 2012, he returned to Massasoit as the Vice President for Administration and Chief Financial Officer. He also previously served as interim president from September 17 until July 2018. A very proud Brockton native, Bill first attended Massasoit Community College as a student before his career in minor league baseball. That's on the website, Bill. I found that. Yes, sir. I'll have you sign my card later. Is that okay? Yeah, I got a card off of eBay. He earned a Bachelor of Science in Management from Bridgewater State and a Master of Arts in Public Administration from Framingham State. Please welcome our sponsor, Bill Mitchell. And he fed you, so let him hear it. He fed you all.
I didn't know all that stuff was on the website about me. And I'm trying to distance myself from that baseball thing. Because now I'm a college president, and I spent my time studying and researching and being really smart, because that's what college presidents do. They don't play baseball. Well, I did. I want to thank my colleagues from Cape Cod Community College. Are you all from Cape Cod right there? Just you. Yeah, John Cox, the president of Cape Cod Community College, who I've known for a number of years. We're actually very close. He never said Massasoit yesterday when he got to speak. He pointed to us, he said, them over there. Is John here today? Oh, he's busy, so John couldn't come. But Massasoit has been here for 2 days. No, the director of admissions is here. And we actually, as community college system, work very closely together. And we're all trying to do the same thing. So first of all, a little bit about Massasoit. I think John mentioned it yesterday. And whenever I speak, I mention that there's been a real change in Massachusetts community colleges, a historic investment from the governor and the legislature, and that's free. People keep saying to me, Bill, it can't be free. And I keep saying, yes, it is free. What's the catch? There is no catch. If you come to Massasoit and take at least 6 credits, you have to fill out a FAFSA. Whatever isn't covered by grants, not loans, the Commonwealth picks up. It truly is free. So it's a game changer, yes. It's wonderful. And if you think about it, people say, well, it's $117 million, that's a lot of money. But the payback is much more than $117 million. We are training students to go into the workforce, hopefully training students to help with the blue economy in Plymouth. I mean, that's what we do. We prepare people for the workforce, and it's about time Massachusetts has recognized community colleges for the vital role they play in the economy in Massachusetts, because our students stay in Massachusetts. They graduate, they stay, they work here, pay taxes, buy homes. And for all you employers out there, my colleague, Dr. Gail Gibson-Sheffield, mentioned it yesterday. I mentioned it in another session. Don't overlook the associate's degree or a certificate from a community college. Our students come and they persevere. They persevere while taking care of parents. They persevere while taking care of children. They persevere while working a couple of jobs. They have proven that once they get into the workplace, they will be good employees. And they're loyal. They tend to stay with their employers. Today it's interesting. I'm a Plymouthian, by the way. I've been here for Well, I don't know if I'm a Plymouthian. I've only been here 38 years. Does that count? Plymouth is an interesting place. Yeah, someone said no. Unless you're born here, you're not really a Plymouthian. So I guess 38 years, I'm getting closer. But I'm actually a direct descendant of the Mayflower, the Howland family, along with 50 million other people. So I kind of feel like I'm back home. Again, all my 5 children went through the Plymouth Public Schools. And so I'm thrilled to bring Massasoit to the table. I will admit we're new to this table. Yeah, we came to the conference last year, couldn't figure out how we fit in. I see how we can fit in. And it's not to take away from Cape Cod. I know they're doing some fantastic things there, but there is a space for us as well. And we will work very well together. Just a couple of more things about Massasoit. We have some real exciting things happening other than free community college. We have a $52 million renovation project on our campus. We're gut renovating 2 buildings, creating a state-of-the-art science facility, and we're creating a state-of-the-art allied health facility. Yeah, our allied health programs are second to none. We have nursing, we have rad tech, we have respiratory. So you're going to pull up to our new building in a fake ambulance. Someone's going to take you out, bring you in, and it's as if you are coming to a hospital. That's the type of training that our students are going to receive. We have almost 100% placement rate in all of our allied health programs. We see more of a demand for the sciences. So this state-of-the-art science facility will prepare our students to go into the workforce, or if they choose to transfer. We also have something, we're cutting the ribbon on November 14th to our downtown location, Future of Work Institute, looking at renewable energies, electrified vehicles. Someone mentioned an electric boat, or was it an airplane, I think, yesterday. I'm not ready to get on an electric airplane, but I will get on an electric vehicle, whether it's NSTAR or Eversource, or the folks who pick up your trash. So exciting things. Dr. Corinne Savignon from Massasoit is heading that up, and pay attention, there's more to come. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce someone who I actually met yesterday. And I didn't know something about him, which I'll save to the end. Tim O'Neill, founder of Wellness Croft. Founded in 2019, Wellness Croft is revolutionizing economic development in Northeast through sustainable agriculture and aquaculture. They are a pioneering producer of locally sourced, ecologically grown, freeze-dried foods. Do you have them on your table? Yeah, I tried the apples. They were phenomenal. It's like eating a potato chip, but it has the taste of an apple. Maybe that could be your new slogan. So it satisfied my craving for Lay's potato chips, but it was really good for me. So I encourage you to try it. Aren't they good? Yes, absolutely. That should be your slogan. These are really good. Anyway, in 2023, they were named the Massachusetts Manufacturer of the Year. Before Tim launched his 25-year-long career in manufacturing, he served in the United States Navy as an engineer. Thank you for your service, Tim. Yeah, that deserves a clap. Do we really have to cue the crowd to clap?
Every time, Bill, except unless she was paying attention. She'll cue us.
She cued us, that's good. Tim is a patent engineer who has developed cutting-edge, award-winning, internet-based visual collaboration products, and his creative drive continues to serve him and us well. He spent 35 years disrupting markets and focusing on innovative strategy, and with the growth of AI and robotics in manufacturing, I would imagine there is so much more to come. The cherry on top, I'm very proud to stand here and say that Tim is a 1995 graduate of Massasoit Community College. A proud alum and my new best friend. So I'd like to welcome Tim.
Alrighty, well, as I get ready here to do my little pitch, everything I'm wearing right now was manufactured in New England or in the United States. Can you imagine that? So I'm going to, well, first, salutations to everyone. A lot of crowd here, different men from different organizations. We've touched many of you over the years, and we're very thankful to be up here, and we'll thank you all at the end as well. What is an innovator? I'm going to define the lead user innovator. There's all kinds of innovators out there, but I'm a lead user innovator. It's very strange. The inception of innovation point, I'll show you that. I'm going to talk about the skills of innovation, things like the technology adoption life cycle, the MIT Delta model for really manifesting innovation, and a little bit about the systems dynamics constructs. And why? Why? Because innovators see a monetizable future many, many years before their boss, before their company, before their investors. And it's important to understand that piece. So what is a lead user innovator? I like to say we're very risk averse. See that kid jumping the bike? That was me and my friends in the neighborhood back in the 80s, right? How many milk crates could you build your ramp from? That was what we thought. Any helmets in the picture? No. Any pads on the bike? No. So I think really a lead user innovator is someone who doesn't have a lot of, we don't have risk aversion. And the mind is kind of occupied a lot, right? I like to think of it as technology attention deficit disorder. And you're going to see there's a cycle, it's a wave, right? The wave starts with an innovator, moves across the chasm into the main market. If you're an innovator, you get real bored about the chasm crossing, right? That was fun. Let's go right back to the beginning. So, and I also ran into, this is at St. Edward's University in Texas. Their tagline's learn to think. So years of logic and ethics courses, but creativity in business that came out of Stanford really showed me that if you thought you could do lots of things with different colored paints and be creative, well, I think that business is one of the most creative domains possible, and my career explains that to you. And I'll talk a little bit about my career as we go. So, you have an O'Neill on stage, and it's important when you have an O'Neill on stage we mention the name. And now why? We're a magnanimous clan. The first surname in Europe. It's a little educational for you. Trinity University has a great study on us. But the idea is for years, centuries, millennium, our family has raised the red hand of Ulster. That's a dextered hand of one of our family members. Whenever the people had a cause they needed help with. That's Hugh the Red. He's the last Gaelic noble, 1603. And what's really interesting about the family is that was 1603. This is 2024. That's Michelle O'Neill, the First Minister of Northern Ireland. So the family's been around a bit, and we're going to be around a bit longer. But we're doing public service. That's really important, right? Unification is actually the first ballot she passed in Ireland, for Northern Ireland. But service. I joined the Navy. I jumped ship at 18 years old. I was on a guided missile cruiser. Oh boy, I watched so many John Wayne movies when I was a kid. All those movies, and I thought, boy, wouldn't it be great to join the Navy myself? And I got to tell you, in my 5 years in the Navy, I got to touch upon things that I don't think many other people ever get to do. So I was involved actively in the Cold War, the war on drugs, 2 tours in the Caribbean with a 50 caliber machine gun and 30 millimeter cannons blowing engines out of drug boats. Okay, I was involved in the Iran-Iraq war. So the Iran-Iraq war had 2 things going on there. One was earnest will, and that was we took 12 tankers, we put a U.S. flag on them, and we sent guided missiles got them up and down the mined Persian Gulf. Swimming with mines is not a lot of fun, but we did it for about 4 to 6 months. And Iran got a little uppity for one day, and that was Operation Praying Mantis. We ended the Iran Navy, and just deja vu, right? It's happening all over again right now. So that's what Operation Earnest Will and Praying Mantis were. I have an Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, but most importantly, you don't ever get to be an enlisted surface warfare specialist unless you go to war. I didn't want to go to war, but war brought me to a level of specialization in combat and warfare that most people don't ever get to. So from there, I took those auspicious experiences and I thought the world needs to change in other ways. So telemedicine, Harvard Medical School joint residency program. We didn't want to drive doctors all over Massachusetts, right, to go to classes. We could use video conferencing. We also didn't want people dying of stroke, and we were having a lot of trouble with stroke back in the day. I got to meet, at that time, Ted Kennedy came to Mass General, and I'll say a prince of the realm also came. I won't mention which prince it was at the time, but they came to see the number. They were looking at top 10 innovation experiments happening in Boston at the time. And so that's what we did at Partners Healthcare and Telemed. And we got a Smithsonian Award for that work. The whole team did. I was the principal engineer. But has anyone done a Telemed call recently? I can tell you, every one of mine over the last 4 years or so have been on my mobile phone. It's not all a big problem. I had a little problem. But most of them are on mobile phones. Now, I learned something there. I learned that doing video is very complicated and that networks like Ethernet weren't ready for it. And that thing, what was that thing called? The internet? Yeah, that's what my bosses said. What's that thing you called again, Tim? Internet? Yeah, they were from Texas. So I worked after Partners Healthcare. I went to work for the market leader in video communications. I patented the construct of being able to talk from one enterprise to another enterprise over that little thing called the internet. You couldn't do it back then. We had to do some engineering around it, but I do have a patent. You folks would know it as Zoom today. So it's not, that was the follow-on generation from where I was, but that's the work that I did early on. Zoom was actually a garage band that has one of the best innovation slopes that you can imagine. We were at 2 billion a year. They're at 8 billion a year right now. So it just goes to show you what the internet was doing for them. So that's my background. Now, is it relevant? Well, today, Congress, if they don't act this year, reimbursement for Telemed is going to go to, well, how did Dr. Joseph Kvedar say? There will be hazards for reimbursement if we don't get that fixed. How about I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the skills. The last acquisition for HP Poly happened about a month ago. And that was my that was my 2014 Innovation Partner of the Year. So I've been out of Polycom for 7 years. 7 years later, they bought my innovation partner to run their middleware stack. So it's still, these waves, they don't stop when you move, and we'll talk about that right now. So let's get into no, I'm kidding. We're not gonna get into that. That's a little too deep. Okay, the chasm, right? Everyone, I can't tell you how many times I was in a corporate meeting where some new executive walked in and told me, right up there at the early majority, how he has the greatest idea in the world, he wants funding for it, and it's gonna happen. Thank goodness I knew people, because they knew I was the innovator, and I started something 4 years ago. And so when they come into the company, they go, you think it's good now? Let's ask Tim, that weird guy in the back, right? He's got something going on. But we can see the future, okay, by understanding this, right? We know when the utility of technology wears out, right? When a new application comes into play, we know when it's just not good enough. My world, my little world of a small manufacturer in Massachusetts is filled with AI and robotics every day. Why? Because AI and robotics isn't ready yet for manufacturing. And my job every day is talking to 10 manufacturers so I can create one solution for me. Well, in 5 years, others will be able to buy just that one solution. But we're ahead of the curve. And we know this. That's Jeffrey Moore, Technology Adoption Lifecycle. He's the foundation of this thinking from Harvard. But there's another guy who you need to understand. This is Arnaldo Haxt. He's from MIT. I got to go to MIT's executive education program. Arnaldo was actually a consultant for PictureTel's development, an MIT spinoff, Polycom, another MIT spinoff, Brian Hinman. And when I got there, he beat me up in front of 100 people every day because he knew all about the other things. But what he taught me was business is love, right? You heard my background, and I'm a warfare specialist, right? I've been Silicon Valley, executive, right? But this guy taught me how to create ecosystems and use innovation strategy for everyone. Now, mind you, I'd already been running the innovation community for about 6 years at Polycom when this happened, but it wasn't the corporate strategy. It became the corporate strategy at Polycom to develop an ecosystem after talking with Arnaldo. Arnaldo understands that technology that we learn from the market, from Jeffrey, is only one piece of the equation. There are people, and we need to manifest those people, and we need to create bonds with our customers. And so when you understand kind of these two pieces and this final piece, the systems dynamics, that's really understanding the attitudes, what technology is available, what the external factors are. And so I'm going to jump through 3 system dynamics to show you what happens in food. Telemedicine, we found these problems here. Remember I said reimbursement issues? up there, that's happening again, right? So politics, ooh, boy, what do you mean you want to be the new way of doing healthcare? You can't do that at MGH. We have a physicians organization that's been here for 300 years. So we formed a new unit, right? We didn't have any diagnostic technology. Do you realize that if you put a stethoscope on and then read it across a video conferencing system, it would take the anomaly out because the video conferencing engineer spent a week and a half optimizing the codec so we didn't hear any anomalies in the audio as it came through. We had to unhook that, right, and create a method to take a stethoscope and run it across a telemedicine connection. So there were 6 systems dynamics, or hurdles, if you will, that we had to climb in the telemedicine domain. I discovered that ubiquitous connectivity, I'll tell you what, that was it was a bet, right? No one was backing it, right? But it's funny that TCP/IP, it ultimately won. It's like that VCS Betamax thing of the years, but there were a lot of protocols out there for that internet that were going around, and ultimately TCP/IP won. My expertise in TCP/IP and my experience at Clark University post my work at Massasoit led me to an understanding that no one could put all of these pieces together yet. And I was like, well, wait, what if I did, right? And so the market leader in video conferencing, who I'd been working with on their breakout new set-top video called Polycom, they ultimately recruited me in to help solve the problem. And they gave me the opportunity to lay out what the problems were and then how to slowly overcome those obstacles. And every one of these obstacles opened up millions and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of market. And once we nailed all of them, we had 15 years of market dominance. That's amazing, right? When you think about it, you get those right and they last forever. And they're still a dominant player right now in UC. They're the top 4 player right now. They're bought by HP Poly. They're HP Poly now by Hewlett Packard. So we did 5 of them. So, 6, 5, whew. This is our Massachusetts manufacturing renaissance, right? This has not been an easy path. Well, we started at the beginning of the pandemic, not the best time to start. But if you look at the hurdles, every single this is a manufacturer. I'm not talking about someone who's got an idea and they're gonna have somebody else do the work. No, I'm talking about someone who has an idea and no one can do the work. I couldn't find a subcontractor to freeze dry. I couldn't find a subcontractor to freeze. When I did find one to freeze, they closed down the next year, right? So you can't find it, so you have to make it up. And so if you ever came to my plant, we do it all in this little 2,500 square foot plant. We're moving to a much larger facility next year. But right now, we had to jump through all these hurdles. And one of the major hurdles that we got to, that we realized, thank you to the Massachusetts MEP, Mass Tech, and Mass Economic Development. We work with them a lot. We have a rep that comes from Mass MEP right to our shop, Manny. They involve us. They brought us into AI training early on. My co-founder and wife and I, we went through a thing called Scale 360. It's a program here in Massachusetts that teaches everybody who runs a small business how to maximize with AI. I rewrote my business plan. I rewrote my website. I rewrote every single one of my unique selling propositions. I wrote blogs, all with AI, right? In hours, not weeks, right? And so learning these skills taught us, well, it's good to have AI at the driving seat, but if we don't build scaling capabilities for customers or for those new startups that are coming, they're gonna run into the same pitfalls we ran into here. The biggest pitfall is that we incubated, we got our first customers, and we could not scale for the orders. Okay, I'm a member of the Farm to Institution New England Consortium, 34 processors and food hubs. It's the #1 issue we're facing right now. So how do you incubate all these 3 major incubation sites for food in New England? We incubate them all, and there's no one to do their manufacturing. I'm gonna show you someone who's doing their manufacturing for it now. And why are they coming to us? Innovation, one of the things we learned about the AI piece is that without AI, robotics doesn't matter, okay? Take that away. It doesn't matter, right? I don't care what you're doing with robotics. If you don't first have an AI platform to talk to your robotics, you're never gonna get it done. And we're doing a lot of research. This is a friend of mine out of Europe. They're way ahead of us over there in the Netherlands. That computer screen is using AI and video to identify the orientation of a pepper. It's then picking the pepper off a line, it's oriented into the core, and then it cores it. Do you know that I can't buy a coring machine in New England that would core an apple and a peach? That is going to be a machine that will core apples, peaches, peppers. It'll do everything, right? And so we're working on an innovation grant right now to help expand that and move that thing forward. But the idea is to take the hands off, as I was saying to Bill. What we're trying to do is economically develop not the person with the sharp knife, right, in the hands and the low skill and the low wage, right? What we're trying to do is turn those people into IT people, right? White-collar workers, $55,000 a year base. Work with a robot, cobot. Right now, most of our work is done with few people and cobots. A cobot makes you 1,000 times faster. Using these technologies with the construct of AI will allow others to put things together. We're also Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is, it's not just, used to be steam, right? And then we got the digital, right, and the internet, and now what we're in right now is advanced technology and social problems. So if you are not doing your advanced technology project, you solve a social problem like food security, right? That's what we're doing. We're talking economic development, food security. Most of our suppliers are multi-generational farmers. They need a market. 90% of the food you find in your supermarket in New England is not from New England. None of the food you find in your high schools or your junior high schools, any schools, is not from New England. We're working on a method to be able to freeze the stuff here so that we can carry it over for the rest of the year, but it's not here. This is what we're working on right now. We've got the bottom piece done, and we're sourcing pieces right now. We actually got a grant for a couple of those components there. That's a completely networked system that would allow me to, if I have a congestion problem at the end of that, it's going to automatically know what's going on. It's going to know what the temperature outside is and what the product that's inside of the unit is. It's going to be able to tell the unit that based on this temperature outside and what we know from last year, you ought to adjust your efficiency. And by the way, we just saved 400 watts on that cycle. If you don't have the interplay, right, you don't get the efficiencies, right? And that's why I'm saying robotics without AI doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like, in my view, digital or data analytics. Really, I started data analytics at the VA in the 90s, right? I don't think until AI came along did it really make as much sense to a business owner, right? And so we're working with things right now that we learned from the state to have AI work as our CFO. Dynamic CFO based in AI, dynamic plant manager based in AI, those two coming together. We want to share that with everyone else that wants to grow. We're already doing it. So we don't just make wellness craft products. Once we got discovered, a lot of other folks came to us and said, hey, wow, you can create a whole product in less than 3 months and with my brand? Thank you. So FOMU ice cream. If you haven't had it, go to our website and try it, or go to Faneuil Hall where FOMU's at. They're out of Boston, vegan ice cream. We freeze-dry it for them. We distribute it throughout New England. And if you're skiing this year, freeze-dried ice cream and coffee, that's going to be the new hit at places like Killington and Pico and the like. So we've got partners up there selling it all over the place. Frosty Sweets, Latvia. They were looking for a freeze-dry to get into the candy business. Latvia, they came to Plymouth. We got them launched. Passamaquoddy, Indian tribe, out of Maine. We build their blueberries for them. Fodzyme, anybody have irritable bowel syndrome and can't eat garlic? Well, Fodzyme has a FODMAP certified system, and we built a garlic powder for them. We've also, Hudson Valley and Rogers Orchards, they've taken our whole product lines and resold them. Honeycrisp.com is evaluating us right now. Town to Table is the #2 vertical farming basil grower in New England. If you went to my shop this morning, the smell of pesto would permeate. And so we're working on a shelf-stable pesto for this person. So we have a platform, and when I asked AI, what is it? It said, well, you got lots of gazintas and lots of camzadas, and I thought that was neat. But I said, but what's the focus of it all? And AI told me that we're AI unique. Right? The idea of starting with AI from the foundation, maybe the people that we incubate don't have the skills to carry it forward, but we do. And so we plan to be servicing them with our AI platform as they exit our premises, as they go to build their own companies over time. So we have found a tornado. This is Jeffrey Moore. And what the tornado is we are taking Northeast produce and supply chain, and we're doing the same thing with aquaculture right now. There's seaweed in that pesto from Atlantic Sea Farms. And we're right now distributed our little product that we thought was going to be a New England product is flying all over the country. And if we move to a green, from the green success we're doing, stuff that blew right into this phenomenon, because it's the same thing I'll show you, we can move to additional shellfish markets like Canada, Japan, Korea, all over the world, right, from Plymouth. We have the ability here. And how would I do it? Well, a little build. I would start, this is a systems dynamics. How would I do the blue economy? Well, I'd start with getting this one thing that everyone needs out of the way, which is how do we convert products that are raw materials into something that the value-added community could work with. I've been looking at regenerative farming and others. We have others that can do it. I like regenerative. Green Wave, if you're not familiar, they teach people how to do it. They have trade programs for it. Where's Dylan Fernandez? Acid deacidification, it comes with it, right? It's all natural. And if we license even more of these little sea farms, then the processors, not just me, but other processors could take those and create these value-added businesses. What does a value-added business equal? Well, if you look at a comparative of this port with the South Coast port, where they're bringing their scallops in up from out in the ocean, they're bringing about 35 million at the dock today. And I learned this last year here. One of the speakers was telling us all about these pieces. But when you make it a commercially viable raw material, like for instance, Passamaquoddy wanted freeze-dried blueberries to put their brand on it so they could distribute them, right? Someone else wanted shelf-stable pesto so they could put their brand on it and distribute it. When you change its format and make it into a value-added component, manufacturing can persist. And we believe that once you get the value add up there, it's about a $2 billion, it's an equivalent, right? I'm doing a corollary between what the South Coast does in their non-green, right, non-sustainable, kind of lots of diesel, ocean-based fishing. You go around to something like this, and we could create a new economy here by taking these system dynamics and kind of working together. Everyone here is working on pieces of this, and we're very hopeful in time that we'll ultimately solve the larger dynamic, because seed to table is a good thing to say, right? Hey, I'm at Plymouth. Are you eating that new, and we have a couple of brands that we're working on right now that would be on the menu. You're familiar with Prince Edward Island mussels, right? Or Georgia scallops, right? Well, why not Plymouth? Right? Why not Plymouth's brand of seafood on the table? So we have the ability to create all these new businesses, and all we need to do is turn that raw material into a viable material. We are moving. So we've been at our location about 4 years now. We're working with the town. We've had Derek and team over. We've had the Health and Human Services over, definitely partnered with Stephen and team. But we're looking to build a new passive building. That's manufactured in Maine. From renewable material. It needs about a hairdryer's worth of energy to heat and cool that building, right? It has a solar array on top, and if you work with the state of Massachusetts, they want to put a 20,000 square foot solar array on your building. They want to put in car chargers for you. They want to put in battery backups for you, right? And when I said I want to do a little building, they said, don't do a little building, do a big building, right? And we should do a big building, because what we're pointing towards is a very big market opportunity here in Plymouth. So we invite anyone to talk to us about this, but we plan to incubate manufacturing. I'm going to say this in my final close. Incubating a startup is different than incubating a manufacturer, because a manufacturer needs a manufacturer at the end, and if it ain't him, where's he go? Right? So we're going to be able to do that. We're doing the production scaling services, and we're working on our AR manufacturing services platform. We're going to run it first for ourselves, and then these services now, when you build one, it's resellable. It's kind of like the old app marketplace was years ago. Well, if you're in AI now and you put your skills in, say preserved food manufacture in your AI engine, right? Now that's something you can sell to other people. They can rent my 5 years of research and development for $25 a month. And so that's what we see people doing in time. I thank you for your time, and I have time for questions.
Does anyone have questions? Okay. I'll always do a question. So I'm Cheryl Bottom. I'm the Director of Admissions at Cape Cod Community College, and so I'm sure with Massasoit too, we feel, we love hearing this. This is amazing, the innovation. For us, what can we do to help you? And can you help us? Just hearing about this internships for our students and hearing about all this innovation. We have certificate programs and degree programs, and we keep talking about what we can do to innovate and get the skills training necessary to have this happen. What do you see that we could help you to make this happen in a better field?
So my wife and I are from this region, and our objective is to drive our workforce from this region. And so, look, I went through an apprenticeship for 5 years in the Navy. I then went through a 5-year terrestrial apprenticeship as a master electrician here in Massachusetts. I appreciate it, right? As well as all the advanced education. Believe it or not, we've been knocking on doors to try to build conversations, and we're not getting any answers. And so coming to events like this is important, and reinforcing relationships with Bill. There's going to be definite drivers here in the region, I think. Look at all those value-added businesses. They're going to need people that know how to do packaging, work with a robotic packager, work with AI-based collaborative software to create different packaging and different messaging, right? There's a lot of skills that are really high-level skills from an educational perspective, that many 19-year-olds kind of seem to have natively, right? But if you can put the structure around those kids now, of the business, a little bit of a business structure, a little bit of tech structure, it's going to make it easier. And I do believe that this thing in enmeshment, right? Every manufacturer should be working locally with their schools and partners, Mass Hire and others, to get that going. And we're very excited to start in 2025 our first apprenticeship programs. And in fact, we're looking for our first production management hire.
Any other questions? In the back?
If you want to learn more about registered apprenticeship, I'm actually with the Mass Division of Apprenticeship Standards. We provide funding through grants and other things, so we should definitely talk after. But we definitely want to, partner with community colleges as well as high schools to help further along the apprenticeship.
Very excited. Again, one of the reasons I'm here is to build community, right, and share, right, and start, and a little the social pollination here. So thank you. We'll follow up. All right, well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to be around. Oh, you have one more, please. Yeah, sure.
You've talked all about food. Is everything you're manufacturing going to be food quality?
So right now, we're working on food. But those, there are a couple of other curves that have already started. And so our intent over time is to expand as much in the next 4 years in food. But we are looking at energy, hydrogen. I think Plymouth is one of the greatest opportunities if they once we resolve what we're going to do with our nuclear power plant, off-gassing from different power plants can create hydrogen economy. So there are other things. But what's most important, whether you're building food or you're building a microphone, okay, the AI logic and the robotics shim is going to be the same. The go-to-market training is going to be the same, right? The business planning is going to be the same. So the fundamentals of how to, and that's why I picked food, because it was one I could work with, right? I had suppliers. I knew we could change the global supply chain to regional with food. So we started there, but it's happening everywhere. These pants were made in Maine and sourced in America, right? The supply chain, right? The shirt was not sourced in America, but made in America. So many of our products, 90% of our products are sourced here. Strawberries are hard to get, so they're not sourced here. So, yes. Well, I thank you all for your time, and I'll be here, and I look forward to having some conversations.
We'll get one more round of applause for Tim. I just think that was so dynamic. It was exactly the kind of energy I feel like we needed in the morning. Tim, thank you for your investment in Plymouth. Thank you for your growth opportunities here. I'm not going to tell you guys I'm struggling with the HDMI, but that's essentially what's happening right now because I tried to put it in a USB port. There we go. Got it. Oops. All right, guys. Well, you know what we're up to now. We're up to a break sponsor. You know what that means? For the highest quality of service your car deserves, visit Tiny & Sons, located at 575 Washington Street in Pembroke. Para servicio excelente que tu coche necesita, visita Tiny & Sons. Enjoy your break.